This video is about the hymn, "'Tis So Sweet to Trust in Jesus." In the AME hymnal that I have, that is hymn number 440. What does it mean to trust someone? Does trust mean never questioning? Does it mean doing what the person wants even if you have reservations? Believing that a person can never do wrong? How do you define trust? However you define trust, the next question is, how does trust in a person come to exist? All right, I know you didn't click on a video just to hear me ask a bunch of questions. Here are my thoughts. My challenge to Christians is to not confuse have faith like a child with a good Christian only experiences life like a child. Remember, Jesus also said to be as wise, cunning, smart, whatever translation you want to use, as a snake. In other words, I think it's okay for a Christian to understand the realities of life and make decisions based on those realities. So when we talk about trusting Jesus, my opinion is that God doesn't expect us to somehow miraculously completely trust Jesus, no questions asked. Given how often in the Old and New Testaments God gives evidence to people for why they should believe God is God, it makes sense to me that God would expect trust in Jesus to grow through a shared history between the person and Jesus. That means if you experience something for the first time, because you haven't experienced that with Jesus, you don't have evidence that Jesus will make everything better for you. It makes sense to me that you might wonder if this will be one of those times that God allows the natural consequences of human action to play out, and maybe you will experience bad things because of it. Even if you have gone through a similar situation with Jesus, you might still have those questions because every situation is unique. I think you can have those doubts and also maintain the belief, the trust, that God's character is consistent. The challenge for us as Christians is to find ways to live in the paradox of uncertainty and trust. Both can exist at the same time. In a longer video, we could talk more about how trusting God's character is different from trusting that God will do a specific thing, even though we know that God's character through what God does. I know that sounded convoluted. Read the subtitles if you need to. Here it is again. Trusting God's character is different from trusting that God will do a specific thing, even though we know God's character through what God does. Pray and read the Bible with that thought in mind. Talk to other Christians about the idea. See where God leads you. That was the take-home assignment. Let's connect this back to the hymn, "'Tis So Sweet to Trust in Jesus." As a testimony song, I think the hymn has value. I also can see how it could make someone feel guilty or confused. The hymn makes it sound so simple. Just pray to be able to trust Jesus, then you'll be trusting Jesus and everything will be wonderful. On the one hand, simplification is what songs do. On the other hand, when a song is used in worship, I think it's worth thinking about how the lyrics might affect a person's faith or understanding of God. I hope this short discussion has given you something to think about when you consider if or how to use this hymn in your church. That's all for this video. Remember, asking questions is one way we build a strong faith. So keep asking.